Next time I'll wear a push-up bra. Like Max said, I'm Katelyn Wilson. I'm from this super small town called Commerce, Michigan. Anyone heard of it? Yeah, just a couple of you. Most of you not really, because it's really small. Yeah, I grew up in Commerce on the corner of Commerce Road and South Commerce Road. They weren't too original on names, except for maybe our school mascot, which were the Commerce Cougars. But that always sounded like some secret society that the 40-year-old divorcees would, like, stalk football players in the high school games at, which was kind of true. I mean, everyone knew each other's business in this town, okay? Everybody. And I figured that out shortly when I realized another name that lacked originality was my own. I grew up with not one, but two other Katelyn Wilsons. Things got a little confusing, you know? I'd get random people texting me all the time. We'd start rumors about each other. One of us was a troublemaker and always got called down to the office, and then they had to call all three of us down, but it wasn't me. The weirdest thing was that we all had the same OBGYN. And so I'm out at my OB one day getting my annual done, and she's down there checking me out, and she's like asking me how I'm doing after my recent pregnancy scare. When she looks up and I'm freaking out, she realizes she has the wrong Katelyn Wilson. So much for doctor-patient confidentiality, am I right? I mean, that wasn't the craziest thing to hit Commerce. There were lots of things, like I said. I worked at this one coffee shop, the Bean Flicker, and I swear to God, it was this grand central station of information. I mean, the people coming through this door, I knew who was fucking, I knew who was cheating, I knew who was filming it, I knew who to call if I needed to be bailed out of jail. They were like my own personal soap stars. This one guy used to come in, and he'd sit in the corner, had a trench coat and a big-ass camera. My boss and I always thought, maybe he's a PI, he's got to do some work someday. Turns out he keeps looking at this woman. Every Wednesday he was in, and one day he runs out the front and leaps into a bush next door, and we're like, what the fuck are you doing? Comes back in, sits quietly for another 20 minutes, goes back in, leaps into the bush again. He's just taking pictures of this chick. Turns out he was kind of his own PI, staking out his cheating wife, super sad. So finally he got his picture, you know, he left, he never really came back. The cheating wife came in one day. Turns out he wasn't even married. I mean, weirdo, checking out this lady next door, she's just trying to get a little romp in the parking lot, come on. I mean, there were other weirdos. This one lady used to always come in, and one day she finally talked to me, and she's like, oh my God, how do you like working there? And I'm like, I love it. And before I could even get a word out, she starts telling me about her dead son. She sticks her arm behind the counter. She's got all those Live Strong bracelets on it. You can like customize yourselves. And she's like, yeah, I recently lost my son. He hung himself in my husband's basement. I probably could have saved him if I would have been there. And I'm like, ugh. And she's like, yeah, it was really sad. And then she turns around and leaves, and I'm still like, ugh. And as she's leaving, on the back of her t-shirt, it says, hang loose, and it's got a picture of him. What the fuck? In Commerce Township, you know? I mean, some towns had a lot of bad roads. Some towns had a lot of dead people. You know what Commerce had? Commerce had a lot of swingers. I mean, you know what swingers are. You know, they're wife swapping, they're having a romp. And this, you know, people used to tell us about this Cascade crawl all the time. It wasn't Commerce, but everyone lived on Cascade. So people would wife swap and go and have body shots and all this shit. And the weirdest thing was I knew the parents of my friends that were doing this. I mean, I'd be at the lunch table and it's like in Twilight when Bella looks over and she's like, who are they? And then April or whatever the fuck her name is like, oh, they're the swingers kids. But you know what? It was one of Katelyn Wilson's kids' parents, but it wasn't my parents, okay? So don't talk about that like that.